This episode of the Kill by Kill podcast is brought to you by the underwater horror film, The Deep House, which is now available on digital and on demand. When a young couple sets out to explore a mysterious house at the bottom of a lake, they discover a sinister presence. Can they escape this underwater house of horrors before it's too late? We'll find out in one of the most interesting flips on the haunted house genre that you've seen in a while. Believe me, I've seen it, loved it. You can buy or rent The Deep House today. It's unrated and from Paramount Pictures. And even better, you can win your own link to see The Deep House on us. Be one of the first 5 people to email us at killbykillpod@gmail.com with The Deep House in the subject line, and you'll get your own link to check out this breathtaking new horror film. That's killbykillpod@gmail.com with Deep House in the subject line for your chance to win. And now, let the body count continue. About 1983's A Night in Heaven for some fucking reason on Kill by Kill After Dark. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. Your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from outside Cape Canaveral, close to Orlando, some sexy part of Florida. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, After Dark edition, where we usually talk about an erotic thriller, and this time we're talking about well, it was shot on film. It's called A Night in Heaven. It's from 1983. It stars one of the kids from Blue Lagoon. It's real interesting, I think. Well, not really. Anyways, there's only one person I trust to discuss this film with me. It's the person who suggested it. It's her fault this time. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Before we go on, I just want to say something.
Sure. Why not?
Patrick, my dear friend,
mm-hmm.
I owe you an apology. This movie is terrible.
It truly is.
I had assumed that it was going to be different in some way than how it actually turned out to be.
I think everyone involved thought it would be different than how it turned out. Everyone seems very surprised at the movie that it actually is.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be much of a thriller. I mean, I knew nobody was going to get killed in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not at all erotic. Not unless you really enjoy seeing not terribly attractive men in very tiny undergarments.
Christopher Atkins is many things, but I don't know. A hunk is what I would put him in the category of. I mean, I think as a teenage protagonist, he would be quote unquote dreamy. But here, he seems entirely out of his element as someone who's supposed to like ooze sex, and he just comes off like a community college sex pest.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you look at people complaining about who the current teen idols are. I obviously I don't really keep up on that kind of thing anymore. I know a lot of them are Korean boy bands, so that's fine.
They're super pretty. Yeah.
But you've got your Timothée Chalamet, and people complain about how he's very skinny and very boyish, and I think you just got to go back to the early '80s to see your skinny and boyish teen idols,
right? And he just his hair is just it's not like Justin Bieber. It doesn't know where it wants to go and stay there. It's just a mound that's matted to his head. He's playing a guy who's trying to support his mother, who runs a hotel diner, and his sister is moving off to marry her ex-boyfriend who's in prison. It's a day in a it's like 7 days in the life of people you never want to know any information about.
Well, here's the wild thing about this movie. Did you catch the credits of the filmmakers behind this?
Oh, you mean the Oscar winners who are behind this motion picture? Yes, I did. Yeah.
Director John G. Avildsen of Rocky.
And The Karate Kid.
And then you've got Joan Tewksbury of a little film called Nashville.
Yes. And McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Like, she is she's not, being wheeled off the turnip truck here. Like, these are people who have kind of blank checks in a certain way. If we were to steal another podcast bit, and the way they cash it in is on this movie, which starts with 3 full minutes of a 48-year-old man on a recumbent bike. That's how it's going to tune you up for what's happening for the next 80 minutes.
I can blame John G. Avildsen for why a lot of this movie doesn't work, because these actors are not being directed very well. Yeah. The sound design is terrible. Everybody's shouting. Everybody is, talking over road noises. Mm-hmm. It feels like it is filmed, kind of live, where like they don't bother clearing the area before they do the shoot. Yeah. I don't really hold Joan Tewksbury all that responsible, because this does not feel like the script that she handed in. This feels like she handed in a script and someone went through and said, "What's this about? Male strippers? All right, well, let's tear out the rest of the here. Let's just tear out these random pages and focus predominantly on the male stripping part of it."
And yet I feel like not enough time is spent on male stripping. And we get shot after shot of real time people walking to their car, walking down a hotel hallway, and outside opening their umbrella. And you're like, are you just filling out time? Like, I can believe someone can make it from a room to their car without seeing it. And yet John Avildsen is like, no. I need to capture all the verisimilitude of what is being seen here. Like, no, you can cut all this shit. At one point, the husband walks into his kitchen, and it's at such an impossibly low angle. It looks like he, lives with the penguin. And you just watch him walk in and put boxes on a table. And you're like, the fuck? This is supposed to be a movie. What is happening? And it just goes on and on and on with cameras affixed to tripods, and people just walk away from it and go, just like try a scene or something, and we'll look at it after lunch.
Yeah, this is a movie that is trying at various times to be a domestic drama about a couple who has been married for a while, and for whatever reason, it's never explored. Like the romance has gone out of their relationship. It's the classic, I've got a hot wife, I don't want to fuck her for some reason.
Right.
And then she hooks up with her college age, one of her students. She's a college teacher.
Yeah.
They have a fling, and for some reason, this drives the husband to, even just the mere act of meeting this kid before they even slept together. The husband is just so like, oh shit, and goes out and buys a gun.
Which lends the question, how many people has he met in his life where his next reaction is, I got to get out to the gun range and start shooting things? Because it seems like it's all the time.
I think the whole idea is that, again, this is a issue of poor directing and poor acting on Chris Bracken's part.
Sure.
I think that this character, Ricky, his stripper name is Ricky Rocket. I love when she accidentally calls him that when introducing him to the to her husband.
Right. Yeah.
He's basically supposed to be like just walking sex. Like he just walks by any woman and she just goes all a Twitter. She just doesn't know how to, and then like to the point where like other men are threatened by him.
Yes.
That he just got so, I guess he just got like, just pheromones, just, surrounding him like a tornado. And as soon as, any other man sees him, like, oh, that guy's trouble. He's going to try to steal my wife. I better get a gun. But it's so much of this is undeveloped. And again, Chris Rockets, in a very generic way, he's attractive.
Yeah. Listen, he's in this movie. It's not like he's ugly. He's perfectly acceptable. But what the movie needs is that magic Mike element.
Right.
Of a guy appearing on screen, and no matter who you are or which way your sexuality bends, you look at him and go, well, I get it. That guy's fucking hot.
You need that, or if you're going back to, or if you're going to go back to the early 80s, you need like a Mickey Rourke type.
Yeah.
Someone who just seems dangerous, and there's nothing dangerous about him. He looks like he's about 17. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have a hair on his chest to spare for anyone.
No.
He's not a particularly sexy dancer. Mostly he just stands there while the customers grope him, which is something I don't think was ever a thing that was ever allowed in real life strip clubs at any point.
But these aren't even actual strip clubs. This is like a wandering circus show.
It's a traveling strip show.
That doesn't even retain a single MC. And I was straining after watching it going, what are we going to choose our own? And I think we have to decide, if we were going to strip in front of a crowd, which MC do you want to supposedly hype you up?
They were all
the guy
terrible.
in the top hat who has Alice Cooper makeup on, or the country guy who looks like the valet for the Undertaker in the WWE. Both of them have very unique ways of getting women to give up cash. But, oh my God, it's just truly, truly bizarre.
Yeah, they all have this kind of you ever listen to the Paul Stanley hour-long stage banter?
I made it about 15 minutes into it before I had to shut it off. I'll be honest with you.
It's a lot like that. Like, you want to see him get naked? It's like, yes, this is a strip club. I want to see him play the accordion.
That's what I paid my $5 to do. That's why I'm downing this watered down rum and Coke, because I want to see them wander out aimlessly in a button down shirt and a tie without pants on, and do a marching band version of 9 to 5.
With they're just like moving stools around.
Right. Yes. They're like doing crisscross applesauce on the floor. You're like, is this sexy? Is this a fantasy that any woman has ever had? It just doesn't feel like it.
But you've got like this audience of like thirsty middle-aged broads who, I guess none of them have gotten laid in the past decade because they're just shrieking. One woman faints because this guy just standing in front of her in these little tiny red sequin G-string, and Leslie Ann Warren, she looks flustered, and embarrassed, like most people would be at these kinds of things.
And you can't tell if she's flustered and embarrassed by what she's seeing or the fact that she's accepted this movie role. I can't tell.
She has made a lot of not good movies.
I mean,
and she kind of plays the same character in all of them. Like someone who gets involved sexually with someone she should not get involved with.
I think the main thing that's really outside of this is Clue, because in Clue, like she completely owns every space that she's in, and she doesn't take any bullshit. And when she's flustered, it's by like dead bodies dropping on the floor. Like That's understandable. But here, she doesn't quite reach the levels of The Color of Night, but she's on the edge of the.
Yeah, just like when you're looking at me. Oh my God, you're looking at me. What?
It would be one thing if you saw 1 or 2 shots of it, but 20 is a bit much. I've also never seen someone outside of my theater troupe in community college see a woman wander around with a rose betwixt her breasts. That is not something people do.
Well, I mean, maybe if you're at like a Renaissance fair or something.
Again, the community college theater and a Renaissance fair, those are on the same plane.
That's true. That is true.
They're not opposites on anything. They're
So
on the same
should we
end.
try to explain the quote unquote plot of this? Because there seemed like there was one at some point. And then they decided, well, the people are going to come see the pretty boys, dancing in their undies. So let's focus more on this.
I guess. I mean, we start with improbably in a move I found bizarre beyond any measure of Whitney Hanlon, played by Robert Logan, a guy I've never seen before, and I hope I never see after. He looks like he has to shave every 15 minutes.
Yeah, his character is pretty much a psychopath, but the movie just does not address this and gives him a happy ending.
It's like he's a normal person, whereas all of his actions denote someone who is very abnormal. He works for NASA or something at Cape Canaveral, and for 3+ minutes, we watch him bike home on a recumbent bike to Bryan Adams' heaven.
I was going to say, if you want to know where Bryan Adams' heaven came from, congratulations, it's this movie.
Yeah, believe it or not, here it is.
They get 2 notable songs from the soundtrack are Heaven, which is the version that would become a radio hit. Mm-hmm. And then you've got an early version of the song Obsession, which would become a not till a couple of years later and then kind of redone. It sounds pretty similar.
Yeah, I didn't know that Animotion, I guess they recorded that song and then someone else did it and they're like, well, that was terrible. Let's do it our way. And it became a hit.
Yeah, a little fun aside about that song. It's catchy. It's a nice slab of 80s cheese. I enjoy it. But the best thing about it though is there is a Animotion greatest hits album, and somehow it is not that 12 times.
I agree with you. I felt the same way when I once found a cassette tape of the very best of the Blow Monkeys, and I'm like, how can you? They've had one album. Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah,
I think there's also like a Tony Basil's greatest hits.
Like, again, they all these groups that we've mentioned have more hit songs than we do combined. That being said, like, that's a cash grab. Like, you're just trying to like clear red off your ledger by releasing that. So anyways, he works there. He does not like hanging out with his wife, who is played by Leslie Ann Warren. Her name is Faye here, and she looks every inch of it. Every color she has is buttoned absolutely to her nose.
They're trying that she's very prim thing, which is always weird to me. Now, you and I being the same age, and that is, middle-aged, mm-hmm. Is it weird for you to kind of see how people your age now were portrayed like 30 or 40 years ago? Yeah. How they're all like very boring, and the husband doesn't want anything more to do with his wife that way. The wife is walking around with the shirt's buttoned up to her eyeballs. Yeah. And they always seem so much older. And then you're like old fashioned. Yeah. And then you're like, oh wait, no, they're supposed to be my age.
It is mystifying. And some of it is fashion. Some of it is like, we didn't grow up smoking like chimneys. I think that's part of it.
Well, it's not even how they look. It's just their their demeanor.
Yeah, I don't know why they are the way they are. Like there are loveless marriages in this world.
Yeah, there's no exploration. Like all we get, he eventually loses his job because apparently they're going to switch into weapons making. And he did not, that went against his personal beliefs, which fine, but that's just dropped immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It is just sort of, assumed that their marriage is in trouble. That's never explored.
Well, it's explored in that he pulls out a model of a rocket and it can't stand upright. So, I mean, you don't have to say it if you show me with a rocket, Gina. It's so subtle.
But, there's no talk of seeing, going into, marriage therapy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this also does not make his extremely abnormal reaction to merely meeting one of his wife's students.
Yeah.
And then finding out that apparently he's stripping his way through college. He's like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here.
Got to get out to the gun range. It's time.
Time to kill.
Time to kill. Oh, my God.
And again, it's like, of course he's going to react like this. And it's like, of course?
Yeah,
it is not, okay, it is a bad thing when your spouse is unfaithful to you.
Right.
But you are not making the situation worse by exacting violence against the person that your spouse was unfaithful to you with.
Yeah, not only is this guy shown multiple times, like cleaning his gun, using his gun, like this has got Ricky Rocket written all over it, but he also meets this old, neighborhood friend out and about when he's trying to get his dry cleaning and he can't. You know what that means. I think we all do when you can't get your dry cleaning.
It happens to all of us.
It happens to all of us. And they then go back to her house and are examining her child's space drawings on the bed, lounging about. And it's heavily implied that they fuck. And I'm asking you, Gina, which is the worst sin here? Is it her having basically anonymous sex with a guy who probably will leave Orlando in the next 5 minutes, or him fucking someone they both know? And I say it's him.
Yeah, it is
weirder.
Him.
Yeah,
because it's like, okay, you can't get it up for your wife who looks like Leslie Ann Warren, but you can for anonymous neighbor lady.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea is he's just so distraught by the idea, which he has no proof of yet, mind you, that she's sleeping with another guy, that he just runs off and sleeps with another woman. And yet
he was seen in an elevator that goes up and down, Gina, up and down.
And yet at the end of the movie, after he leaves Ricky to die, apparently.
And we have to assume he's dead.
Just left him nude on a sinking boat in the middle of the water. They're like, they have a moment, and it looks like they're going to work. These kids are going to work things out, and it's like, how am I supposed to feel about this?
Is that good? Is it bad? Why is it happening? Like
because that seems like a murder suicide about to happen. Do not get back together with the. I mean, I know he didn't tell her. Of course he didn't. Mm-hmm. But do not get back together with the spouse that threatens your lover with a gun.
Right. Meanwhile, Faye's sister shows up in town.
She's got there's some kind of plot involving her that I couldn't figure out what was going on with that. Like she's getting divorced or something, and I couldn't quite follow what was happening there, but that's like a third plot that they barely pick up.
That somehow the sister, their marriage is on the rocks. Like they're not having sex. They're not really connecting in any way. They can't even talk. And she's like, well, I got to go to Orlando and get some dick. And so she basically uses Leslie Ann Warren as a shield to allow her to have sex with a guy. And then the husband calls and says, hey, the kid's sick. And she's like, well, Larry doesn't know what to do with a sick child. It's like, time for Larry to step the fuck up. You can't handle a sick child? Fuck off. This guy sounds like a real fucking catch. And meanwhile, Leslie Ann Warren's character is like, you got to get back together with this guy. Here's some perfume. Make sure you have sex with him immediately. Like, why? Why do they need to stay together? Why movie?
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. This is a weird movie.
It's
like
just things that happen in random order. It is basically what it is. And then at one point they finally go to a strip club, and then you're like, all right, here we go. And it's a woman just like humping a guy in a Tarzan outfit out in the open, and everyone's like going, yeah.
I love that Leslie Ann Warren and her sister and all their friends, who, including one woman who has this absolutely horrific, very high pitched voice.
Yes.
They're dressed like they're going to prom. Like they're all wearing these like poofy dresses, and they're all done up with the hair and the makeup, and to go to a strip club.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got these strippers come out. You've got like women like literally doing the thing where they like jump up and wrap their legs around them. like remember in Rocky Horror Picture Show when they
or every time The Bachelor appears, and then there's this onslaught of 24 to 32-year-old women, and one of them starts to run and another one starts to run to see who can jump on top of this Sasquatch and put their legs around him. Like, it's that.
And then there's strippers are like kissing women and like grabbing their hands and putting them on their crotches. And it's like, you're not supposed to do that.
No, but then again, Gina, like we talked a little bit about this on chat. Like, this is Florida. Okay. It's Florida. When I lived there briefly, not only did the ant story happen, but also the big deal in the newspaper while I was there that a local golf course was busted for having tents for sex workers to service golfers in the middle of their 18 rounds.
Yeah.
I know. Golf. Gross. But that's a good bit. I just think that's a good bit. To steal another bit from Blank Check, 10 comedy points, Gina. So I wish it had spent more time actually on the Christopher Atkins level of him trying to make money as a male stripper rather than this boring fucking marriage and this boring fucking sister. I don't care about any of these people. And yet the movie has this one character named Slick, who's a redhead, who just seems to follow Rick Rocket from club to club to club.
Is she like his girlfriend or like a groupie or something like that?
Well, she's introduced in that opening commercial as like, I'm advertising this strip club. And
is that her?
That's her. That's Slick.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same person. So either she is just the commercial actor for this strip club, which seemed to buy 2.5 minutes worth of, prime time airtime.
Also, I was going to say that's false advertising, because why would a woman be drawn to a strip club with it advertised by another woman, with another woman?
No, she's advertising I assume she is advertising a strip club that men go to. It was because the actual strippers, like Rick, he travels from bar to bar. They don't have a single location to go to. Or did I completely misread that?
I don't know. I didn't even realize that was her.
I mean, it's purchased her a Corvette, and that's made a big deal out of. And she's perfectly fine with Rick sleeping around, but still wants to sleep with Rick.
Yeah, like I said, everybody, the core being of him as a character is, women find him utterly irresistible.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, he's very resistible. It's also another sign of, and again, I'm reluctant to blame this on Joan Tewksbury. It's also one of those movies in which a character is supposed to be, the audience is supposed to believe that they are very smart based largely on other people saying it.
Yes, exactly.
But they don't seem very smart as a character. But everybody is, Rick's going to go places. He's really smart. Is he though?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem very smart.
I mean, I just might remind everyone, both Rick and I have something in common. We flunked out of community college.
But did you strip your way through it?
I wish I had the body for it. I certainly had I was a better dancer.
I was going to say, were you actually a good dancer? I mean, go back in time.
Back in time, I did win a hip hop contest judged by the UNLV men's basketball team. So I was a mover once upon a time. I had a certain set of skills.
You had those Z Cavaricci pants.
Sure, exactly.
The vest. Listen,
yeah, the chess king was my friend. So put that image in your mind. So the sister lures Leslie Ann Warren to the strip club. They have this big build up with these guys doing marching band 9 to 5.
There's also a sense of, let's go to the strip club. We'll get laid. It's like they're not sex workers,
No, but I think in their minds, there isn't a differentiation. And with the behavior that we see on the floor, it's also not much of a differentiation.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's definitely some hustling going on there, but that's a weird. I mean, why wouldn't you just go out to like a bar or something?
I don't.
I mean, the idea is you're gonna. I mean, there's like 800 women there and like 4 strippers.
Yes, and Rick Rocket comes out.
He's not even dancing. You can't even say what he does is dancing.
I mean, he does fuck that pole pretty good. That's connected to the stairs. And then he immediately sees Leslie Ann Warren and goes about, basically, in my mind, trying to embarrass her.
Just like not breaking eye contact for a second, which, my
while
God,
doing push-ups.
I died 1,000 deaths.
And then at one point,
she's having a panic attack.
Yes, she's clearly caught in like deer in the headlights. And then he goes up to her and basically puts his dick in her face, then makes eye contact with Slick and is like, what are you going to do? It's a living. And then Flintstones whistle, slide down the side of a Brontosaurus. And then takes her hand and just goes, consider my penis.
Just puts it puts it right in the money.
Like, here, you're not allowed to do this, but if I pick up your hand and put it on my penis, then suddenly it is legal. I mean, in Florida, what are you going to do?
Ever feel one of these?
Have you considered the rocket? I mean, I've seen your husband's and it's not even put together. Can't even fly up to the moon anymore. It has to go left to right. And that is the first time he puts her hand on his penis.
And she's like, and he kisses her, and then she spends the rest of the night just like madly wiping at her lips, like, oh God, oh.
She's having PTSD from being sexually assaulted in a club full of 400 women.
She's just like, oh, clean, I'm so unclean.
And then she puts on a lot of perfume and tries to have sex with her husband as if, well, I'm all horned up. I might as well use this.
He's like, nope. But she cries. He's like, nope. It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
I don't need your solace.
Pull it together. If your wife is trying to have sex with you and you turn her down, she cries. Yeah. I mean, you got a fucking hand. Use it, dude.
Really? Like, you don't want insertion? Like, there's plenty of other ways to get this woman off. Like, really?
She is crying because she wants you to touch her. And you're like, nah, I'm tired.
No, I mean, listen, the aerospace industry it's just falling apart, honey. My penis does not work. I can't even show you the rocket I brought home.
But again, I mean, I don't think that Whitney is supposed to be the bad guy here. I think Ricky is supposed to be the bad guy. Then
what aside from he is really into interpersonal politics are kind of hanky. But how is he the villain necessarily?
Because he's a cad. Because he sleeps with they have sex in the hotel room, and that's like the only sex scene you get. It's okay, I guess.
Leslie Ann Warren's really trying.
She's way more into it than he is, but and then she leaves, and then he invites Slick over, and they have sex in the shower. And I guess I don't know
of that hotel room she has left to make a single phone call. And I mean, it leapt to mind at a certain point because Slick, once they're caught, Slick goes, I can't believe you're still doing this at your age. Have you two done this before? Hey, like he's just had sex and she leaves and he's like, Slick, come up to the hotel room. Let's have sex in the shower. And you already know our philosophy on sex in the shower, but it's made even weirder that they think they can get away with this when she is merely out of the room for minutes.
And I guess, I don't know, because again, the movie does such a poor job of developing any of these characters and their relationships. I mean, was she falling in love with him? Because they don't spend a whole lot of time alone together. Like
no, but I also don't think you expect the person you just had a fling with to hop in the shower with this other random broad of a hotel room they haven't paid for and just go at it.
No, like, well, okay, that's fair, but
that's a shock to the system, like, Gina. That's just not what you're expecting.
Well, okay, fair.
Unless that is what that hotel is, and based on the guy who's at the front desk, he seems to know Ricky intimately.
Well, I think that the movie wants to imply, but isn't quite. It doesn't quite have the temerity to go there to imply that he might be a sex worker.
Yeah.
Which, if they want to do that, fine.
Sure.
Why not have, her getting involved with a dude as a sex worker?
But we've seen him have, the implication with the other women that he has interactions with is that he has had sex with them too, and not on a for hire basis. It's just what he does. It's like,
and women just can't keep their hands off of him.
Right. He wakes up, he puts on pants, does not consider a shirt. And when he does, the shirts he considers should be illegal. And then he goes to community college, flunks something, a presentation he is very well prepared to give. And she's like, he makes a joke at the end. And she's like, this is all useless. You made it a joke. It's like, well, he successfully landed a punchline. Fuck you. He should be at least get a C. But no, she flunks him out. And he's like, oh, I don't know. It's Tuesday. Like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for or rooting against. It is incomprehensible what the point of this motion picture is. And if it's to watch him strip, he strips once, for fuck's sake.
Well, I think it was, at the time it came out, male strippers were kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
And I think that, someone wanted to take a serious look at this instead of, right. Instead of making it look, which it is, very corny and cheesy.
Yeah.
But I think they, this is, very adult, very serious, watching these women, treating these men like a piece of meat when, how the tables have turned, and it's
right.
And it's just like, all these women look very desperate, very horny, and like they've never seen a man standing in front of them wearing tight pants before.
Which audience would you like to spend time with, Gina? The audience from Strip to Kill, or the audience from A Night in Heaven?
Oh, God. Well,
you got to pick one. You're spending the night with one of these groups.
I guess the audience for A Night in Heaven, probably no one's jerking off under a table.
It's true.
I mean, the noise, the volume level is going to be excruciating, and I'm definitely going to need some Advil afterwards. But
sure, yeah,
you probably get a decent like fruity beverage or something at wherever they because they're going to make stuff that ladies are going to want. Yeah, so I could probably get a nice pina colada or something for my trouble.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, whereas the bar at a Strip to Kill, you get your whiskey and there's like, a cigarette butt in it.
True, but there is a chance I could sit near Norman Fell and I just have a conversation with Norman Fell all night.
But I will say that the routines of the strippers in Strip to Kill were far more artistic.
Yes.
And even erotic than the dance routines in A Night in Heaven.
1,000% more showmanship, talent, ability. They're putting on a show. And Ricky Rocket's like, well, put on the fog machine. I'm going to show up backwards and then eventually turn around.
Yeah, none of these men are really dancing. They're kind of like, wiggling their butts a little bit but then, somebody just, catapults themselves from the audience into them. And then the rest of them are the rest of their show is just them grinding up against this woman while she's trying to stick her tongue down his throat.
That one woman who's essentially dropped to the floor and she is basically trying to pull herself up by a guy's G-string, and we don't even get to see that dick. But apparently it's fantastic, but I'm not privileged enough to see it.
Yeah, she goes cross-eyed and passes out because she has seen a glimpse of a naked man in front of her.
She's not the only one who goes cross-eyed. During the makeout scene, before they're actually having sex, in what feels like an eternity, when Atkins and Warren kiss, she starts to go cross-eyed just from lip contact.
Like, I kept thinking of when I was watching this. You remember the movie Bachelor Party?
Sure, yeah.
Do you remember the strip club, the male strip club scene in that?
Yeah. Also, better than this. 1,000% better than this.
You got Wendy Jo Sperber, God bless us, running out in the audience, and the guy's like feeling her up. She's like, the little like shimmy thing.
This movie needs a Wendy Jo Sperber.
It does. If she had played the sister, it would have made this movie so much better.
Oh my God, it would have been made so much better. 1,000% better. Like, she's a genuine comedian, right? She is committed. She makes every scene sing. Even the woman who's the mother-in-law who ends up getting a dick inside of a hot dog bun, she's making that work. And this is just nothing. It's 80 minutes worth of stuff happening on screen.
Well, I just wish that the people in the audience had been, more realistic and been kind of more embarrassed than like, wow, I am really turned on by this, because it's not sexy. It really isn't.
It truly isn't.
There's not much you can make sexy about a guy in very, very tiny underwear.
Also, none of the underwear seems to fit anybody. When Rick Rocket
there's so many bared ass cheeks, and it's just like, I don't want to see that.
But skinny, tiny, flat asses. It's one of those things where I could watch those Magic Mike movies all the time because they're just fucking entertaining. It doesn't matter whether or not I'm just looking at male flesh constantly. With the flesh that it's attached to are actors who are giving interesting performances, are being asked to do interesting things. Even the plotless sequel, at least, is entertaining as fuck. And you get to see dancing and it's fun and I enjoy it. Like, there's a point to it. There are characters. Here, the most interesting this movie ever gets is at the very end, the husband basically kidnaps Atkins and takes him out on, like, does he own that boat? Did he drive from Cape Canaveral to Orlando in that boat with a skiff attached to it? And they're like, get naked on that skiff and looks like he's about to shoot him, and then shoots a bunch of holes in the skiff.
He literally left him to die.
Yes, because you know what that water is full of? Gators. Gators. Everything in Florida is trying to kill you because man was not meant to live there. And we forced ourselves on the ecosystem. I do
appreciate that Christopher Atkins finally starts acting in that scene, and he's mostly just sobbing.
He did a weekend at the actors workshop for that particular scene. He's like, I gotta be able to cry, baby.
This is like one of those things where, one of those movies where I want to know, like, what happens after this. Like, let's assume that Rick does manage to make it back to shore.
Sure.
He would absolutely be in his right to call the cops on this guy.
Absolutely. And they would find that skiff full of fucking bullet holes. And they would go, do you own a gun? Did you fire it recently? Like, he's going to go, well, I think he may have slept with my wife. Oh, by all means, sir, please continue on with our business. We'll go beat up that twerp now. Like, what the fuck is supposed to be happening here?
And that's what the baffling thing is like when they look like they're going to start working things out at the end, I supposed to be like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like, I don't want to see those two people together. They
like,
don't.
Faye, you a danger girl. You know what I mean?
Seriously. And he's also slept with somebody else. It's not like, I guess because they're even. Is that what I'm supposed to come away with? Like,
well, they wouldn't be even until she held the woman he slept with at gunpoint.
Well, give it time. Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry, Patrick. Please forgive me.
If people want to watch any part of this movie,
we should have watched Traces of Red.
We should have watched
the James Belushi erotic thriller. Probably would have been more entertaining than this.
Because everyone has wanted to see James Belushi and Lorraine Bracco just go at it, just go to town. But we didn't, so we're not going to. Maybe in the distant future. That being said, if you want to watch any element of this movie, I think the clip of the stripping scene exists on YouTube. I mean, the whole movie's on YouTube. That's how we watched it. But if you just want to watch the stripping scene, that's the most entertaining part about it. And then you never have to think about this again.
And even that's not very entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, it would just give you context for how fucking weird it is. But yeah, I do not recommend. If you have 80 minutes, you can find better use.
Yeah, it's not even good for camp value because it's in between an insider's look at male strip clubs. Yeah. It's also trying to be this like domestic drama, and it really doesn't work on any level.
No. If your sexual fetish is Carrie Snodgrass in a waitress's uniform, this has you covered, but seems like a very thin slice of any audience, nevertheless ours. That just about does it. Gina, what is the Patreon situation? Because we seem to be in the middle of a explosion.
The Patreon situation is fucking great. Since we last recorded, we've gotten 4 new patrons.
Wow. That's great.
I would like to thank Jacob, Cameron, Thomas, and our gold level patron who decided we needed 25 whole smackaroonies per month, which we don't even have a $25 level. We're going to have to make one just for her. It's Nikki. Yeah. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki. That is insane. But we thank you from the bottom of our hearts to help us keep the lights on around these parts.
And I also wanted to say something real quick.
Sure, of course.
I was having a very, very, very terrible day yesterday. I will not go into details other than to say it was a bad brain day for Gina. But at the end of my workday, I opened up my email and I found an email with the subject "Kill by Kill." And I'm going to read you this email because it made me cry.
Please.
It says, "Hey, Gina, this is Randy. Recently stumbled across the Kill by Kill podcast and haven't been able to stop listening. The Friday 5 episodes had me crying. Literally. Just want to drop you a line and say love what y'all are doing and please keep doing it. Looking forward to reading your writing as well. You both make my drive time and laundry folding so incredibly tolerable. Thanks again for the laughs. Cheers, Randy." Thank you, Randy. I really, really needed that yesterday.
That's so wonderful. It's really, truly the best. It just it makes my heart sing. We did get one recent review. They don't have a favorite kill, but it's from Gail, and she says Patrick and Gina have great chemistry and they're hilarious. I adore this podcast. That is fantastic to hear. Of course, you can rate it and review us on Apple Podcasts, and now you can 5-star us on Spotify if you listen there, and on Amazon and on Google Podcasts. All of these places you can rate and review us, which helps us be seen and heard by more people. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net. I recently have been covering the Sundance Film Festival. And I am on Twitter and Instagram at Gina Does Things, Gena Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. And of course, we're on all the socials. We have our Patreon, where last month we ended with Halloween 4. And this month we will be doing a special episode in the middle, in the middle of the month, and Halloween 5 at the end. And yeah, that just about does it. Join us next week as we talk about Final Destination. We're going to be breaking up Final Destination into 2 parts because this is more of a slasher style movie, and we want to dig into those bedrooms, baby. You can't believe the amount of posters that you're going to see in this here motion picture. We're going to dig into all of it. We got ourselves a nice guest. That just about does it. Don't worry, the body count will continue for myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.